Today we'll look at cybersecurity. More specifically, we'll look at how attackers use creativity to infiltrate our cybersecurity network and how we can use creativity ourselves to set up a proper defense against future attacks. First, we have to look at creativity in cybersecurity attacks. Examples of such attacks include snooping software, which works by compromising the hardware of your device, such as your microphone or webcam. We'll discuss how we can protect against such cyber attacks, and additionally, we'll discuss how we can protect ourselves against cyber attacks from everyday overlooked devices, such as smart TVs, Alexas, Google Homes, and most importantly, our computers, which store our most private and personal information. In order to create your best cybersecurity defense, you need to always assume your cybersecurity will be compromised at some point and plan your defense accordingly. First, we will see how we can defend against attacks from smaller devices. Then we'll focus mainly on our computers. Let's take a look at VPNs. VPNs are extremely important to have on all of your devices and have them running in the background continuously. I personally use NordVPN myself on all of my devices and highly recommend it. There are many options, but it's best to know that a free VPN is free for a reason. When your device is connected to this, other devices on the same network cannot snoop on your private data. You could install it on a router with OpenVPN support for your home device. This way, your smart devices around the home won't compromise or snoop on other devices on your network. This also prevents tracking such as targeted advertising when you're using a VPN. Alexa and Google Home are part of your cybersecurity as well. Unfortunately, they are constantly recording, so they're a major threat to your cybersecurity. To get around this, there is a project called Project Elias. This is a device that sits on top of your smart recording device and plays continuous white noise to block out any way for the device to unknowingly record you. When you do need to use your device, instead of commanding your device, you will command Elias, and the Elias will repeat the command back to your device. There are some things to consider when creating your cybersecurity network. First of all, I would highly advise against using Windows. Windows is the number one target for malware, followed by Mac, and at the very last, there's Linux. Even if you do have Windows installed on separate partitions, attackers have developed more complex bugs in which the bug will realize it's in a Linux system and look for a partition or a separate hard drive connected to the same motherboard. Then it will unmount the hard drive containing Windows and infiltrate your data this way. Even though you never booted into Windows or used it, these bugs can work around that and infiltrate your system regardless. If you have to use Windows, I recommend virtual machines or separate laptops entirely. As discussed, our main operating system should be Linux. Next, we need to look at two things. We need to take a look at how we use our data and set up a way to protect it. The best way to do this is to compartmentalize our data into separate things. Each one you can based on workload. So you can have one for work, one for private, and one for untrusted or unsafe website. Having separate computers is a little bit inconvenient and expensive, but it is a good way to do it. Alternatively, you can have a single computer with multiple virtual machines, which works well too, but it requires a lot of RAM. Now, let's combine what we learned and use it against our attackers. We know that the best option for defense is separate virtual machines. We also know the safest operating system is Linux. CubesOS is a Linux-based operating system that focuses on virtual machines to separate your workload. So I personally recommend CubesOS. I use this operating system myself at home to protect my data. It works by using Zen VMs. This allows for the user to run multiple VMs simultaneously. Also, this allows you to use multiple domains on a single network. As you can see, there is one domain open with the untrusted browser and one domain open with the trusted Word document. There's no way for the browser, even if it does have a bug, for the bug to infiltrate the document because they're in completely separate domains. And as you can see, it looks like they're just in two separate windows, which is why CubesOS is very good at making everything very smooth and seamless. This is how Cubes is set up. Everything is its own domain, including the hardware. If you plug in a flash drive, you will have an option to open in a disposable VM. If you're unsure about its content, that way you can take a look at it, unplug it, and then it will delete the domain afterwards. Additionally, if you do need to use a Windows program, you can create a new domain based on Windows and run Windows program within the domain. Your firewall, network configuration, any USB, webcams, they will all be in their own domain. That way, if a bug does compromise part of your computer, it won't have access to your more critical hardware. The downside of Cubes is it's not meant for games because this is a work-focused operating system. You can use it for Netflix or anything light, but expecting to game on it is unrealistic. The upside of Cubes is it is very easy to recover from being hacked. If you do get a virus, you can easily delete your domain and restore it from the automatic backups that Cubes does of your domain every single day, from the previous day or the day before. There are several ways a cyber attacker can infiltrate your system, and sometimes they can get creative. This is where we have to get creative in return and create a secure network to protect against any form of attack. Although there are alternatives to Cube's OS, I believe that it is by far the best choice for cybersecurity. It tries to take into account every possible method of attack and prevents it from infiltrating your network.